Hi, this is Pastor Tim. Today we want to talk about how we can take care of ourselves, how sharpening our mind, our body, our soul, and our hearts can really help us live out a life that is fulfilling and one that glorifies God through our words and our actions. So we take care of ourself. Did you know it is recommended that you, as a 12 or 13-year-old, get 9 to 11 hours of sleep a night? I'm guessing most of you did not hit that mark last night. 9 to 11 hours is what's recommended for you to be functioning at your best, for your mind, your body, and your spirit to be healthy and working strong. For me, I'm in that 7 to 9 hours, and I did hit that last night. But I do edge down towards that lower end, 7 hours at a time. And I feel it in the way I think and the way I treat others when I get below 7 hours of sleep a night. So part of sharpening yourself and taking care of yourself is getting good sleep. For our body does need rest. Medical researchers suggest, in addition to sleeping 9 to 11 hours for you guys and 7 to 9 for me, medical researchers suggest we need 1 day each week for rest and relaxation, to slow down, to relax our bodies, to let our muscles regenerate, and to become refueled to go for another 6 days. Dare I say, most of us don't have this in our lives. Some days I slow down for a window of time, 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon or evening, but most days are pretty full, and I'm guessing yours are too. So sometimes if we're crabby, if we're irritable, if our bodies ache or we're always tired, slow down, take a Sabbath. Also, this day of downtime can be a time where we refresh ourselves, our mind, our bodies, and especially our spirit as we go to worship or we fill ourselves up with God's word so that we can be refueled for the rest of the week. Which leads us to something you've been memorizing for a long time, that third commandment: remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not despise teaching and his word, but hold it sacred and gladly hear and learn it. We improve our faith by slowing down, taking a break, going to the Lord's house to be refilled up, where you will hear precious words of forgiveness, precious words of hope. You also may be challenged, because so often we like to live that lifestyle of sin. In church, you will be challenged and your sin will be revealed. But ultimately, it points us to Jesus, who died for that sin to give us life. That's why we want to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy, honor God with our time. Or even Jesus got tired. If you look at that picture, that is when Jesus and his disciples, after a long day of teaching, boarded a boat and they were going across to the other side. And while they were on the water, a great storm came, a great squall, and huge winds came and rocked the boat. And even those Galilean fishermen, James, John, Peter, and Andrew, they feared for their lives, waking Jesus up as he is sleeping in the back of the boat, saying, "Don't you care if we die?" Jesus got tired too. He even needed rest. But we also know that Jesus had power over the wind and the waves, for he said, "Quiet, be still," and they were. We do have a powerful and mighty God. But for the context of this lesson today, we are reminded that after a busy day of preaching and healing and being with the people of God that gathered around Jesus, he too needed rest. Sometimes we need rest too. So here are some simple tips for taking a break. You might not be able to go to Florida for 7 days, or you may not be able to just leave school when you're overwhelmed or leave your office when you're overwhelmed. But here are a few tips for taking a productive break that gets our minds and our bodies back on track. Take a short nap. Do you know that when you go home and you take a 15-minute nap, your body reboots, it refreshes, and you can come back stronger in the afternoon? I didn't do this for most of my life, but now I try to from time to time, at least once or twice a week, to go home, eat lunch, take a short nap because it fires me up and I have energy for 3 to 4 more hours after that nap, after a long morning. Go for a walk or exercise. This will invigorate your body. It gets your blood flowing. It'll release some of those natural endorphins, which make you feel good in your body. So go do a workout. Go for a walk. Do something you enjoy or that makes you laugh. For me, I like to go out and work in the yard. I know that's weird, but work and productivity and seeing something done makes me feel good. And so when I need a break, I go do something mindless and go plant hosta or go mow the lawn. For you, it might be talking with a friend that makes you happy, or connecting with your parents. Whatever brings you joy, take a break. Go and be filled up. And finally, use something other than screen time to fill your free time. Many of us work on our computers, our iPads, our phones, 8 hours a day or more, it feels like sometimes. And when you take a mental break, if you want to shut down and you don't want to be distracted by email or text or all these other things that are overwhelming you in the moment, leave your phone at home, go and take a walk or go and take a nap, and let the world's problems resolve themselves for 30 minutes. I think the world can go on without you for 20 or 30 minutes. Take that break and don't let those distractions come into your break time. A few more things for resting longer. As you have control over your schedule, take a vacation or maybe take a day where you let your mind and your body relax. Go somewhere, a change of scenery. For me, I like to go out on the deck, or if I'm here at church, I'll go and walk in the sanctuary or around the block. And the change of scenery plus the exercise does me good. And sometimes for you, it might just be, hey, I'm going to go to the park and I'm going to get away from this right now. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you also could write out your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, or even your tasks and get them out on paper. I now do this in the form of a calendar where I take my time to write out some of the things I'm thinking about, some of the projects maybe I've been neglecting, so that I don't forget about them and I can bring them back to the forefront in future days. This brain dump helps you feel like you're getting rid of your worries, but you're not forgetting them. You're putting them down so you can use them later. And remember, you have to take care of yourself. You can't you can't pour from an empty cup. So often we want to build each other up and we want to encourage each other, but if our cups are empty or our bucket is empty, we have nothing to give. So take some time. Let your body recuperate. Fill your energy bucket back up so that you can share joy and happiness with others. Because there will be plenty of people who will dip out of your bucket and take your water and leave you empty. Sometimes you need to slow down on your own and recharge yourself. And hopefully you have those friends and those people around you who can fill you up as well. So we want you to be preserving and enhancing the greatest asset that you have. That's you. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body, mind, soul, and spirit. Connect yourself to God on the Sabbath day and throughout the week so that your bucket can be filled with His goodness and His encouragement so that you can live a life that makes a difference. May God bless you this day.
If you're the kind of student who deals with a demanding, ambitious schedule, then it's possible you've experienced feelings of burnout, especially if you're watching a video called How to Deal with Student Burnout. But what exactly is burnout? Yes, it's a series of near-perfect arcade racing games that sucked up large amounts of my time as a teenager, but it's also a debilitating state you don't want to find yourself in. If you're looking for a definition, David Ballard of the American Psychological Association defined job burnout as an extended period of time where someone experiences exhaustion and a lack of interest in things, resulting in a decline in their job performance. Replace job with student, and that definition doesn't lose its accuracy. But here's a more practical definition. Everything makes you tired, you don't care about anything, and everything sucks. Burnout is characterized by near constant exhaustion, a lack of motivation in everything, frustration, cynicism, and a lot of other different symptoms. It's something that can happen when you're dealing with large amounts of stress for a long period of time, which is something that's sadly all too common for students. Here's the kicker though. Burnout is a state of being that takes a while to get to. It doesn't happen overnight. And the good thing about this is that you can recognize the signs that are indicative of burnout and take steps to prevent actual burnout before it actually happens. The first step in being able to prevent burnout is to figure out what exactly causes it. Now, a 2006 study at the University of Southern Maine surveyed 354 students to figure out what the cause of student burnout is. A small percentage reported mental or physical issues to be a cause, and a few others reported that problems with professors were causing their burnout. About 13% felt that it was caused by a lack of personal motivation, either a lack of interest in their major or, as they describe in the paper, an overactive social life. A full quarter of the students surveyed reported outside issues to be the main cause, either family or financial issues or time management problems, mainly caused by things like part-time jobs. However, by far the largest cause reported was assignment overload. A full 49% of the students who actually reported feelings of burnout cited an overbearing, overtaxing course load as the main cause of the problem. So now that we know some of the common causes of student burnout, we can actually tackle the issue of preventing it or fixing it if you're already feeling it. Now, the most important thing to note here is that it's essential to recognize the early signs of burnout if you can and prevent actual burnout before it happens. You're going to be much better equipped to tackle these problems if you're not hampered by constant exhaustion or the depressive state that burnout brings. So if you feel like you're on the road to burnout or you're experiencing some of the symptoms I mentioned before, take that seriously and take steps to prevent what they lead to. That being said, even if you feel like you're past that point and you're completely burnt out right now, hopefully some of these tips that I'm going to round out the video with can help you out. My first and foremost tip is learn from that 49%. Don't bite off more than you can chew with your course load. A more general way you could put this is think very carefully before committing yourself to overstretching for long periods of time. Be willing to challenge yourself, but realize that you do have limitations, just like the rest of us. And if you go beyond those limitations for too long, there are consequences. Now, if you've had a look at my free book on earning better grades, you'll realize this is a rewording of the very first tip in the first chapter of the book, which is don't overload the system. And speaking of the system, my second tip is to make sure that your system, your brain, and by extension your body, are in working order. A lack of sleep, good nutrition, or exercise can put you in a non-optimal state. And when you're in a state like that, you're less able to deal with the challenges of your schedule and also things that can cause burnout. A third tip is to make sure that you're organized. I found in my life that if I feel unorganized, if my task management systems are full of tasks that I don't need to do anymore and everything just seems messy, it causes a lot of undue stress, which can lead to feelings of burnout. So if you're feeling like this, maybe take a day or a weekend to clear out your task management systems, get all that entropy out of there, clean your room, and make sure that going forward you feel like your life is organized. Another tip, and I think this is a really important one, is to make sure you're taking breaks. Get away from your school or work life on a regular basis and give yourself some time to relax. Now, as I've talked about in a previous video, when you're taking breaks, you want to make sure you're having high density fun. Don't just go on Reddit or Facebook and give yourself like 10 minutes away from your work. Actually schedule some time to completely separate yourself from your work life and find something else you enjoy. You also want to make sure that your work or school can't seep into that break time, that it's sacred. As an entrepreneur, I found that in particular, my email is something that can seep into my break time. So I make sure my phone has no notifications on it and I make sure I only check email at certain times of the day. That way my breaks are actually relaxing. Now, small breaks should be a regular occurrence in your schedule. There should be little ones each day, and then you should give yourself some time each week to really unwind. However, sometimes that alone isn't enough and you might need a longer break. Part of the reason I took my 3-week vacation to Japan is because I was starting to feel some of the early signs of burnout. Making a video and 4 different podcast episodes each week was really starting to be taxing, and I just needed some time to unwind and not have to work. Now that I've had that break, my mind is reset, I'm energized again, and I'm ready to jump back into making videos and podcasts. Now, related to taking breaks, I find that it's useful to have a hobby or a pursuit where you can feel a sense of progress when you do it. For me, at least, I find that taking breaks that only consist of consumption of media like movies or video games, which is honestly what a lot of people do, is not enough. So instead, I think it's good to take at least some of those break times to do something that has some progression to it. My next and final tip is to simply ask for help. You don't have to do this alone, and if you're in college, there's probably somebody on your campus whose job it is to help you deal with stress-related issues. Even if there isn't, or maybe you don't want to, talking to friends or family about what's causing your stress can really help you relieve it. So that's it for this video. Hopefully these tips will help you deal with some of the feelings of burnout that you may be feeling, and we will be dealing with more stress-related topics in the future on this channel. In the meantime,